Hello and welcome to 50 Fabulous Knits. My name is Pia. This channel is my happy place where I get to talk about all the yarn and all the knitting, and I am, as always, so very happy that you're joining me here today. I have a lot to talk about today because I've had a fair amount of knitting time this past week. I had COVID, very mild case. I'm fully vaccinated, so it's just a couple of days with fever and just feeling miserable. But yeah, lots and lots of knitting time because I had to, of course, isolate. So what else to do than knit, knit, knit. So I finished the second version of my Wrapped in Memories, the sweater that is inspired by my childhood sweaters, a super cute model that my mom made for me in a number of sizes as I was growing up. The first version was my Christmas cast on that was knit in some glowy autumnal colors, super beautiful. And I wanted to also make one in some very neutral colors, obviously. So this is it. I am thrilled. I'm really loving this one. It is knit out of Dream in Color yarns. I'm sorry, light is terrible here today, but I think when I hold it here, the colors are well represented. So the gray, sandy beige here, the main color is Dream in Color yarns. It's their Butterfly BFL, which is a fingering weight, blue face Leicester and silk base. And then the contrasting colors are two of the colors that I'm actually also using for another project. So I've been playing Yarn Chicken. I'm not done with that game yet, but I think I'm gonna make it. But as you can see, you probably can't. But in the original pattern, the ribbing down here and on the sleeves are done in the two colors, the two contrasting colors, but I was afraid of running out of these. So the brown one is the Madeline Tosh Whisky Barrel, and the other, the variegated golden color, is a skein from a club by a Danish hand dyer, Berg. It's called Boromir, but I don't think that it's one of their repeatable colorways. But yeah, this is just beautiful. I just need to weave in the ends because I am gonna wear it tonight. I am now ready to be out of quarantine, so we're going out tonight just to celebrate that I'm okay to be around people again. This pattern is in testing, so it is gonna come out probably sometime February. We'll just have to see with the timing on that one. But yeah, very, very pleased with this. And the pretty long colorwork section was just what I needed to keep my attention as I was just laying there. I also finished another sweater or a cardigan. Of course, I don't have it here to show you, but I can put in a photo of me wearing it. That is the sister or the girlfriend of my Billy Bob cardigan, the one with the fringes up here. So on Rose, I put a silver rose on the shoulder. They're both versions are included in the same pattern, which is also in testing and just about ready to come out. The one that I made here I actually made a mistake. I chose a yarn that was not thick enough. I just knitted using 2 strands of drops air, which was not thick enough. But I finished it anyway because I just knew that I was gonna get a lot of wear out of a lighter, more drapey cardigan. And I was right. But I am gonna knit a second version of Rose with the silver roses on the shoulders using the correct yarn. Actually, I am going to Texas next week. So since Billy Bob is knit in the Yarn Bee Effortless that I got at Hobby Lobby, I should go and check out Hobby Lobby just to see if it's still there. And of course, if there's perfect colors for a rose cardigan, then I should buy them, but I'm not gonna buy anything else at all. I don't even believe it myself. I love Hobby Lobby. But yeah, that's one of my plans. As soon as that one is knit up, I think I'm gonna be ready to publish the pattern. Yeah. I also finished a really small thing. You can see I have been knitting. I just mentioned that I'm going to Texas next week. And if you've been following this podcast, you know that I travel a lot. I live in Italy. I have 1 son in Denmark, 1 son in Texas, and a husband that works out of Dubai. So I travel. And when I travel, I'm a little, I wouldn't say over-controlling, but I like to be on top of things. I like to know where everything is. And I also like I always carry like a big tote bag, like this one, to hold all my personal items, to keep me company, to keep me entertained during the flight. And I need that bag to be very well organized, because it holds a lot. It has, of course, passports, wallet. It has my knitting. We're gonna talk more about my knitting in just a bit. It has my iPad and a small crossover bag just for little things. Glasses. And then all the liquids that I carry, like a face cream and a hand sanitizer, stuff like that. And it has always annoyed me to have this ugly plastic bag in the middle of all these beautiful things. So I knit this little pouch to put in all of my liquids. So what I'm gonna do is when we reach security, I'm just gonna pull it out, put it up there, and then put it back in and snap it closed. It's a very simple closing. It is just this I-cord that goes all the way around, and then I put in an elastic band in the I-cord so that it closes just like a planner or something. It is knit in the same pattern as my cowl. And it is also knit in the same yarn. It's a luxury yarn combination for just a simple pouch for my bag, but it is Dream and Color yarns. The main color is the same as this one. I told you what yarn it was. I didn't tell you the colorway. This is their Dream and Color yarns Butterfly BFL in the colorway Ghost Town, which is just, I mean, they should call it Pia. It's the perfect color for me. I love this color. So I used it on this one as well. And then I paired it with the My Fair Lady that, if you watched my last episode with the Knitathon, you saw that I made a sweater out of this colorway. And actually, when I made the sweater, I held it together with some black brushed alpaca silk. Here I'm holding it together with a sandy gray mohair. And as you can see, the colors are really muted. So when I held it together with the black, it was like the black made the colors pop, like little confetti specks. You can see the finished sweater if you go back to the previous episode, the 24-hour Knitathon episode. But this is what happens to the yarn if you hold it together with a light gray or a sandy beige. You just mute the colors, and they're still beautiful, but they're very, very different from what you get when you pair it with a black. So this colorway is called My Fair Lady, and the mohair that I'm holding it together with, that's also from Dream & Color yarns. It's the Billikit silk in the colorway Rabbit Ears. So yeah, I think I got all the information now, right? I'm just going to show you one little detail of this. I of course knitted so that it fit the bag that I usually use. This is actually just a plastic bag from, I think it held some socks or something. You can often get those value packs. But I like that it has a real zipper, so it's a little more sturdy than the regular bags. But I also did put in a plastic lining. This is part of an old placemat. Do you know the ones from IKEA? I think they're about $1. I just cut it so that it fit the right size and glued it to the top here. So it really holds the shape nicely with this kind of closing. Of course, if I had a lot of free-flowing small things in here, I would risk them falling out. But since everything is wrapped in a plastic bag, this is only for show. It's not practical at all. It's just to make me happy every time I look down into my big tote bag. And you know what? Anything that can make me happy, make me smile during those long haul flights, totally worth it, right? I don't know that I'm going to write up the pattern for this. I did write down the instructions as I went, but I don't know if anyone would be interested in such a crazy thing. I mean, I don't know that other people are as crazy as me, but if you think that I should send this pattern out in testing and publish it, please let me know in the comments below, because I don't want to go through the whole process of writing a pattern, getting photos, getting it tested and publishing it, if everyone are like, oh, Pia, that's crazy. That's only for crazy people. So those were my finished objects for this week. But of course, I also have some works in progress, like the one that is going to be my plain knitting, and also something else. But I thought maybe I should tell you about the sweater I'm wearing. This is, and I'm sure that a lot of you has already recognized that, it's the bright sweater from Junko Okamoto. It's a lovely sweater, and Junko Okamoto is just a genius. I mean, she is such a clever designer. Her designs are always full of little details and tweaks and things that just, I mean, the fit is always perfect in her sweaters. Even though they're huge, oversized sweaters, the fit is so nice. Like on this one, you have this row of ribbing that just hugs your shoulders and makes it possible to see that there's a person under all of this knitting. So it's also knit, let me just see, I can go a little back. It's knit so that it's quite a lot longer in back than in front. And the sleeves are made in such a clever way. Also, you just, up here, you're working increases for the body and for the sleeve. You can see this row of increases. And then at some point, you just knit the body down and pick up sleeves, stitches for the sleeve after. So the sleeves sit in all of this extra ease that is on the body. And I think it just, I love this sweater. I really love it. I would not. I was gonna say I would knit another one. I wouldn't, because this is, I'm not gonna lie, it's a labor of love. Never will you ever reach that point where you're just going around and around. Something goes on all the way during this sweater, but it's beautiful. And the pattern is, it's easy, it's well written. It just takes a lot of attention, but I'm so happy that I pushed through, and I do wear it a lot. I knit it out of my own hand-dyed yarn. It's a DK weight, let me just see. It's a DK weight superwash merino in the colorway that I call Rejsekammeraten, the travel companion. Actually, I dyed this yarn specifically for this sweater, and I named it the travel companion because I prepared the yarn, the project, for my very first visit when I was going to Texas for the first time after the kids moved there. In my mind, I was gonna knit it on the plane and I would get well past the yoke, and then it would just be knitting around, and I could easily do that while over there. Yeah, that's not how that went. The story of this sweater is actually on this podcast. In my very first English episode, I showed it as a whip. And then I showed it when I picked it up after a while and decided to push through and finish it. And I'm so happy that I did. Bright Sweater by Junko Okamoto. Such a beautiful sweater, but probably not my favorite project ever. This was not a process knit. This was because I wanted the sweater for sure. What I am going to be knitting on the plane is something that I am super excited about the finished object, but I am also enjoying the process. It lives in this beautiful, simple, and very lightweight project bag from Knit Collage. It's perfect for traveling because it is so light, so I can just squish it up and jam it in my tote bag. But in here is living a project that you have seen before, my scrappy striper. I have decided to save this so that I have it to knit on the plane, because it is such an enjoyable knit and I need something that is just nice, easy, pretty to work on while traveling. And I'm just gonna hold it back here because, again, lighting is terrible today. This is where my game of yarn chicken comes in, because I had dedicated the Whisky Barrel from Tosh and the Boromir from Berg. I had dedicated those skeins to this one, but then I needed here. So I'm sure I'll be fine. I have, of course, plenty of the gray, which is Pagapet's Age of Steel. And that one actually came as, it's a sock yarn, and it came as a set like this. I'm just gonna, let me see, like this. It came as a set so that I have the gray that I'm using, and then there's this brown that could easily be a substitute if I run out of the Whisky Barrel and still have some stripes to go. I mean, they're not the same at all, but this is a sweater that is meant to be knit with scraps, and if the stripes don't match, it's no problem. Really, no problem at all. I think I'm gonna be fine with the Boromir. There's plenty left of that. I am not convinced that I will have enough of the Whisky Barrel. There is, of course, also the option of me buying another skein, but that would be crazy. I'm not gonna do that. I'm sure I'm gonna make it with these 4. That's gonna be more than enough, because I have already separated for the sleeves. I only have a handful of stripes more to knit for the body, and then I'm gonna decide on the sleeves. I want them to be long, but again, if I run out of yarn, we shall see. We shall see. But I do plan on making the hem on the body and the sleeves using the gray one here, because that's the one that I have plenty of, and it's gorgeous. I love this gray color. I have put it on my short tips. This is my Lykke needles, wooden short tip needles, so that should get me through security, no problem. Knock on wood, just to make sure. I often put these stitch stoppers on my knitting when I'm gonna go through security, because I think they look less intimidating. If a knitting needle ever looks intimidating, it looks less intimidating when you have these stitch stoppers on. I also have a brand new cast on, living in a brand new project bag that I bought for myself. I think that was to celebrate Kyndelmisse, which is the halfway point between midwinter and the spring equinox. That's worth celebrating, right? You need to have pancakes on that day. And yeah, that's a good tradition. You also need a new project bag. This is, it's from a company called Mood. I don't know. I think it's available internationally. I have a needle case that Peter gave me and another knitting bag from them. But I couldn't resist this little bucket bag. I've been eyeing this for a long time. And yeah, if you have too much time just laying there, not doing anything, this is what happens. This is, yeah. But anyway, I love it. I love that it has this, even when it's closed, it has this opening where you can feed your yarn. And if you're knitting with 2 colors, you just close this clasp and feed 1 color on each side. And it has a lot of pockets on the outside and on the inside. And it holds a smaller project, and I'm just loving it. So inside I am having, as I said, a brand new cast on that I am really enjoying. So this is this is a new design. When I design, there are like 2 ways that I go about it. either I have this very clear vision of what I'm gonna make and also a clear understanding of how I'm gonna make it happen. In that case, I will write down the entire pattern and knit from that. Other times I have a more vague idea of what I want and maybe no idea of how to make it happen. And this is the case with this one. This is my trial and error knit, and I am having a lot of fun and I'm learning a lot. And I hope that it will end up being a beautiful little summer top. As you can see, it has just the raw edges here rolled over a hem at the neckline, and it fits pretty tightly up here. But then you go into this very open lace, and after that, it just, you increase like a lot. So it gets really flowy after that. This lace, by the way, it's crochet. So you bind off all your stitches and then you crochet in your knit stitches and then you pick up knit stitches in your crochet stitches after. I really enjoyed that. I'm not a crocheter, but something like this, that's a lot of fun. My idea for the lace was originally that I would thread a ribbon through it. I have this dark green velvety ribbon that I would thread through it and then tie it in a bow in the neck. But now I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just going to keep it as it is. I mean, you can put the ribbon in and take it out again, and that's no problem. I don't need to overthink that. But I'm really loving this very open lace, and also it sits at a point where it's not forcing you to wear anything under. This is definitely a garment. I want it to be a garment that you can wear with nothing underneath, so that you only have this thin layer of flowy wool just to keep you comfortable once the warmer weather hits. But I have a lot of ideas for the shaping of the body, so I am knitting and ripping back, and knitting and ripping back, and I am enjoying that a lot. The yarn that I'm using are leftover yarns from my first snow sweater. The one that was originally thought to be knit in this color and then with the light gray color work on the yoke, but last minute I decided to switch the colors, so I had a lot of leftover, and this yarn is just too good not to be used. This is the Basque 400. I don't know how to, BASC 400 from by Kilarek in the colorway black. It is like a shaded black, as you can see. So if I hold it back here, yep, that's what it looks like. So the base is baby alpaca, it's silk and cashmere. So it is super soft and drapey and beautiful. And yeah, this is something that I am really enjoying working on. And I'm hoping to get it finished soon, because I think, of course, it is intended as a summer top, but I think it would be beautiful under like a blazer or something if you're going out and you wanna. This is probably the most feminine piece of clothing that I have ever designed. Not super feminine, but this one, yeah, really looking forward to putting in some more work on that one. The only other thing I'm working on is my mini blanket, and it's still I mean, it's still a very joyful knit. In this bag, I keep a lot of mini skeins and scraps of fingering weight and sock yarn. And then I just pick whichever. See, here is some leftover My Fair Lady and Ghost Town, the colors that I've been knitting with this week. And I'm holding everything together with some Drops Kit Sock, which is, I mean, it's a very budget-friendly yarn, which is important in a project this big. And I don't have anything bad to say about this. I have bad things to say about the company, but not about the yarn. So this is really working up nicely. And I finished 2 panels. I have one to share here. It is going to be knit in these long stripes that each consists of these triangles. And even though I haven't finished my blanket and is not going to finish it anytime soon, I have written up all the instructions, and actually people are testing it right now to see if it's understandable, if it's useful, and if it is, I am going to publish that so that you can knit your own blanket should you want to. I think it's a wonderful way to use all these mini skeins. I did have to try a couple of times until I figured out a size where I would use almost 10 grams for each triangle. Almost. So you will still get like teeny tiny scraps, but what I am doing with these, the teeny tiny scraps, I roll them up in a little ball, and when I have 10 grams, I just make a triangle with little stripes with all the scraps. I'm gonna make, I think, 6 or 7 of these panels, and then I'm gonna crochet them together. I have some pink yarn that I bought once at Knit Picks Palette. And I think I'm gonna crochet everything together with that pink, and then I'm gonna probably knit an I-cord edging all around the blanket. And this is just, I'm in no hurry to finish this because this is just so lovely to sit and work on. So, yeah. And that is all that I am working on these days. I have some projects prepared. I really like to take the yarn and put it in a project bag and find the needles and what the notions that I'm gonna need. And, yeah, have it ready. I have a couple of those because I'm gonna need some knitting when I go away. But I'm not gonna get into it because one thing is what I think I'm gonna do with yarn, it often ends up being something completely different. A couple of weeks ago, I treated myself to a knitathon. That was 24 hours dedicated only to knitting. And that was wonderful. If you want to see how that went, you can go back to the previous episode that is all about my knitathon. And during my own knitathon, I asked you if you would like to try a knitathon together, like a knit-along-a-thon. That's catchy, right? A lot of you said that you would actually like to try that. So I am inviting you to a knitathon on Saturday, March 26th. We are going to start at 3 o'clock my time, which is also Paris time. It's GMT +1. So I thought by doing that, a lot of people would be able to show up for the start of the Knitathon. And then we're all gonna take turns, depending on where we live in the world, to be knitting through the dark hours of the night. There is one rule to this Knitathon, only one, but that's a very strict rule. You need to enjoy yourself. There are no rules about you having to knit for 24 hours or having to accomplish this or that. If your circumstances or your body doesn't allow for 24 hours of knitting, you just put in the hours that are possible. Just make sure that you enjoy it. Make sure that you enjoy the knitting and maybe also the community around this. I really hope that we can build a community around the Knitathon where we can cheer each other on and inspire each other to keep going. And I actually think that I'm gonna do some lives during the Knitathon. So come online, and I think there's a chat function when you do a live here on YouTube, right? So we could actually kind of talk together. I am also gonna do some giveaways. Already some very sweet makers have donated prizes. If you're a small maker, you have a prize you want to donate to the Knitathon, please get in touch, because I would love to be able to give some beautiful things away during these 24 hours. So I am only in the very early planning phase of this. I just wanted to get the date out there so that you can check to see if it's possible for you. And again, if you have a prior commitment on that day, say you're going out in the evening or you have a birthday for lunch or whatever, no problem. You participate when you can and when you want to. I'm gonna schedule ahead the live sections so that you will know when those will appear. I am thinking I'm gonna go live every 6 hours, so it'll be 4 times during the day. But we will see. I need to do some planning. One thing I would really like to do is find a tool that allows us to sign up for the Knitathon so that we will know how many we are, how many of us are knitting together, because I really love what happens when you take a very solitary practice like knitting and putting it into a social context. It's so beautiful, and I really like it, and I'm super excited to see if we can make this work. I have before compared this to the Dewey Readathon, which is a virtual event where readers from all over the world get together and read for 24 hours. And that is just it. I loved Dewey's Readathon. I participated quite a few times, and I think that we can make something similar with knitting. For sure, we're gonna try. Leave no stone unturned when it comes to building community around knitting, right? So this Saturday, the last Saturday in March, the 26th, we are gonna do our Knitathon, and I really, really hope that you want to join me. I really hope that we can spend some wonderful time together, knitting and chatting away. This could also be, I could do some Q&A. If there's something you're curious about, then we're going to do that, because if there is indeed a chat function to the live, then it would be super nice to be able to engage more directly than what we're usually able to. So I am so excited about that. Much more detail to follow. I just wanted to get the date out there so that you could plan if you wanted to participate. And that was it for the creative content. Life-wise, there's been a lot. Well, I got COVID, but I also got something else. And if you're following me on Instagram, you know who I'm gonna go get now. Say hello to Miss, my new furry love. She's a bit sleepy. I had to pick her up. She was sleeping on the couch, but I really wanted you guys to meet her because she is my biggest joy right now. She is so adorable. Yeah, we spent all of our time together. She can come everywhere. She's not going with us to Texas, which is super sad, but she's gonna stay with my friend who lives together with us. So it's not gonna be too bad on her. My old dog died on December 7, and I wasn't even sure that I was gonna get another dog, but I was really sure that if I was gonna get a dog, it wouldn't be until summer, so that we didn't have to go to Texas and wouldn't have to leave the dog behind. But then this little beauty came into my life, and I mean, how could I not? How could I not bring her home? She is 4 years old, and I was just so lucky that the family that she was living with loved her enough to let her go when they had to realize that they didn't have the time for her. So now I get to enjoy her, and I am super happy for that. So that is basically what these past weeks has been about. COVID and Miss. One was more fun than the other, but anyway. I'm gonna end things here. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am really happy that you wanna sit, knit with me, crochet, or just relax, whatever you like to do when you're watching these knitting podcasts. Be well, be safe, and happy knitting. And I really hope that I will see you again next time that I podcast, which will be from Texas. And then I hope to see you for the Knitathon. Bye for now.